Hi, I'm Dr. Babar Ahmed. Welcome to Health Matters KC, where we discuss a healthier, stronger, and more mindful you. Sleep. Think about this. We spend nearly a third of our lives asleep, yet we understand so little about it and respect it even less. What if the key to better health, focus, and happiness was simply a good night's sleep? Unfortunately, sleep gets a bad rap. It is considered a badge of honor if we say that we don't sleep much or don't require much sleep, and vice versa, where we can be considered lazy if we prioritize our sleep over staying up late for work or activities. Society has stigmatized sleep where one may be considered lazy. The mentality is less sleep equals more productivity. It affects your obesity, your cardiovascular health, mental health, muscle mass. So let's break down your sleep. There are four stages of sleep. Your first one is your stage one, which is basically considered light sleep, which is usually initiated within the first 5 to 10 minutes. At that time, a person is easy to wake from. And then you go into your stage two sleep, which is light to moderate sleep, in which you will have slowing of the heart rate and the breathing. Your body temperature drops. You become less aware of your surroundings. It's harder to wake from. Then from stage two, you go into your deeper sleep, which is stage three. And in that, your muscles fully relax, your BP and breathing also are at their lowest levels. And then from stage three, your deep sleep, you go into your fourth stage, which we all have heard, REM sleep, where you have the rapid eye movement, and that usually starts about 90 minutes after falling asleep. And this is where you'll experience vivid dreaming. Your body is paralyzed to prevent acting out our dreams. And it's important for memory, learning, and emotional regulation. So a lot of this topic where I'm discussing is based on from Dr. Matt Walker, a neuroscientist who is a best-selling author from UC Berkeley, who is considered by everyone as the number one sleep expert in the world. So whenever we discuss how to address and manage your biology, the first tool that people should work on is their behavior patterns. After that should be your vitamins or supplements, and then last should be your prescription drugs. So let's first get into your behavior. One behavior that we all can do is that we need early morning bright light exposure at least within 30 minutes of when we wake up. It resets your circadian rhythm, which we know is your internal clock. It shuts off the melatonin in the morning so you can wake up and let the cortisol take effect. And as you know, melatonin is considered your sleep hormone. Another behavior that we need in our routine prior to going to sleep is that you have to have a disciplined routine. It could be yoga, could be meditation, or prayer. You could read, rest, relax. If you are going to read, you need to read in a dimmer light. You can also do some journaling where you write down your activities for the day and jot down what you need to do for the next day. Journaling helps the sleep induction time by 50%. Another activity which you should try to avoid any exercise in the evenings because it can release cortisol and other hormones and neurotransmitters which will keep you awake. And erratic sleep schedules are detrimental for your sleep. So that's why you have to be consistent. You need to try to sleep at the same time each day. Try to keep a 30-minute window for your sleep time. And I know on the weekends, especially if you're going out for get-togethers or parties, it can get really hard to keep that sleep schedule. But again, try to do the best you can and try to keep a 30-minute window for your sleeping time. Keep the room cool at about 68 degrees Fahrenheit, which lowers your core body temperature, which in turn creates deeper sleep. Another factor that you need to do is keep the room very dark. Even the smallest amount of light can affect your sleep. No TV, social media, or any iPad or device use about 1 or 2 hours before you're about to sleep. It causes more anxiety and stress, and it really does not let your brain calm down. We all need to avoid the blue light after sunset. And I'm sure you've probably seen that on your phones too, where you've had these blue light filters. So there's a reason for that. So what the blue light filter does, it suppresses the blue light that's being emitted from your device because that blue light basically suppresses melatonin. And as you know, melatonin is the sleep hormone. It is produced by the pineal gland, which is a tiny gland in your brain, which is supposed to induce sleep. Even if you feel like those blue light filters are on your device, they are okay, but you have to understand that your device is still emitting some blue light. It's the same thing like when they say decaffeinated beverages. Even the decaffeinated beverages have a tiny amounts of caffeine in it. There's nothing as 0% caffeine. It's the same thing with these blue light filters. They will always emit some form of blue light. So this activity will keep you awake longer. It affects your sleep-wake cycle. It decreases your REM sleep. Another complication or another challenge that I see in some people's are if you're a shift worker like myself, if you're working the night shift or you're living in an area where you don't have much light exposure, especially during winter times or living in Alaska or even some Scandinavian countries. In those situations, you can't just walk outside and get sunlight because there isn't any. In those situations, then you basically need to use what's called, I'm sure you've heard, a light lamp. And it can't just be any light lamp like a regular table lamp. It has to be one that has at least 10,000 lux, LUX. And you need to get about 30 minutes of exposure. What this does, it helps set your circadian rhythm. The lights you have at home are not enough to signal your brain in resetting the circadian rhythm. As we age, we have reduced slow wave sleep. So you awaken very easily and you become a light sleeper. Another behavior that we need to implement is avoid any phone usage, emails, texts, at least an hour before you go to sleep. One other common thing that I notice is that people with poor sleep is that they consume alcohol or caffeine in the afternoon or evening. So at least 6 to 8 hours before your bedtime, you should not have any caffeine or alcohol. There needs to be that 6 to 8 hour gap. Caffeine is a big one. It can cause fragmented sleep, frequent nighttime awakenings, and I've heard this my whole life about chai. I know a lot of people, they say they need to drink tea or chai before they go to sleep, and without getting a cup of chai, they can't go to sleep. What I will say is that having chai or tea, coffee, caffeine before you go to bed, it affects your deep sleep. You know, it may cause awakenings or interruptions in the night, but if you wake up and you felt like I didn't sleep enough or I didn't get any restful sleep, that's because the caffeine did not allow you to go to that deep sleep. And we have to remember, the deep sleep is where your body recovers and the magic happens. So then what happens is that you wake up in the morning, you're not as restful and you need more caffeine. And then you wind up drinking 3 or 4 cups of coffee or tea in the morning just to wake you up. Either that or you have some energy drinks to keep you awake. Try to avoid ingesting any food prior to your sleep, at least 3 hours before your bedtime. Because what happens is that it raises your blood glucose levels and insulin levels, and it causes an increase in your core body temperature, which will wake you up and cause fragmented sleep. Here comes the big one, your phone. You have to keep your phone away as far as possible, because one behavior pattern is that you will be tempted to check your phone repeatedly if it is close by. And a lot of times you'll have these notifications on your phone which make your phone light up. So even if you have the light setting at the dimmest setting, that even dim light is enough to wake you up. And again, it'll be emitting a blue light. So you should try to keep your phone away from what the recommendations are, at least 20 to 25 feet away from you, so that you are not even tempted to grab that phone in the middle of night, 2 a.m, when you're getting those notifications and seeing, okay, what's on my latest Insta reel or what's the latest Facebook message that I got. So if you keep it far away, you'll be less tempted to get up out of bed to look at your phone. Another behavior that we always see is naps. So some people live by naps, some people hate them. Now, are they considered beneficial? In my opinion, yes. And in many researchers' opinion, naps are considered beneficial. So what is considered the sweet spot for naps? They're great for cardiovascular health, blood pressure, They are very beneficial in learning and memory. Naps can help with emotional regulation. How long should we nap for? The range is between 20 to 90 minutes is recommended. Usually that might be hard to get 90-minute nap in the midday if you're working. Sometimes people can squeeze out a 20-minute nap or 30-minute nap. However, 90 minutes would be considered the best since you receive a full cycle of sleep. I think the Spanish have it right in Spain where they have your siestas, where they can take these hour and a half naps, and those guys are so happy they have great sleep. NASA actually pioneered this in the 1990s, where they experimented with astronauts and found that 26 minutes of naps improved mission performance by 34% and improved their daytime alertness by 50%. So naps definitely have a benefit. But beware, if you suffer from insomnia and have sleep issues at night, the naps probably should be avoided. If you can nap regularly and it does not affect your sleep at night, then naps should be fine. However, if you struggle with sleep, then probably best to avoid naps. And when should you nap? Best time would be about at least 6 or 7 hours before you go to sleep at night, and avoid the late afternoon naps. And if you can, limit the naps to about 30 minutes to avoid that deep sleep and avoid the grogginess of waking up like you would when you wake up in the morning. If you have that time to take a longer nap, great. But in your normal work routine, 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes would be your sweet spot. Now, coming into the supplements. Now, you've probably seen there are many sleep aids on the market. So we're going to talk about the most beneficial and effective ones. The biggest one is melatonin. So melatonin, as we mentioned, it's a sleep hormone produced by the pineal gland in your brain. During the day, melatonin is low because you have cortisol. So cortisol is suppressing your melatonin, and so is the daylight, and your body knows to be awake. However, as nighttime approaches, the melatonin increases and tells the brain and body that now is the time to wind down and go to sleep. Melatonin's role is to get your body prepared for sleep. The evidence in healthy adults, melatonin is not very helpful as a sleep aid. Based on a meta-analysis study, melatonin will increase your total sleep by only about 3.9 minutes, and it increases your sleep efficiency by about 2.2%. And this is just the average among healthy adults. It is useful for elderly greater than 60 to 65 years old because they have calcification of the pineal gland. So that's where in the elderly, melatonin has much more benefit. Another supplement is L-theanine, which can help with inducing sleep. It helps decreasing the mental chatter. It decreases anxiety prior to sleep. So if you're taking the supplement, the transition time into sleep is much faster and your sleep will be much deeper. L-theanine should be avoided if you suffer from intense, vivid dreams, those who are jolted mentally and physically from intense dreams should avoid the L-theanine supplementation. Another supplement that is highly recommended and researched on is magnesium, either magnesium glycinate or magnesium threonate. They're interchangeable, and they're meant for people who are having trouble falling asleep. Another supplement which can help is apigenin, which is a derivative of chamomile. And I know chamomile, sometimes people will mix that in their tea. And the purpose of the apigenin is that it acts as a bit of an anxiety lowering compound, similar to the green tea effect. Another supplement is myo-inositol. I'm having a hard time pronouncing it, but myo-inositol. It's another supplement that helps you to get back to sleep once you wake up, especially if you have vivid, intense dreams or fragmented sleep. So you can combine these or try them separately first for about a week and see if they work for you, whether it's the L-theanine or with or without the melatonin and even the arginine. See how you do with those. Check out examine.com, which talks about these supplements in further detail and how they can affect your body and the hormones. And these are evidence-based with links to provide you more info. Some may wonder about THC or medical marijuana. So people who use medical marijuana, they need to realize that the marijuana may induce sleep, But what happens is that it makes you tired. It gives you what we know as the munchies, where you start craving carbs and snacks. It does relax you, but it actually blocks REM sleep. So definitely would not advise that. And then coming now to medications. If none of these supplements are working for you, then what I would recommend are these prescriptions that are out there that you can try. You can talk to your primary care provider about this. They're meant to be used for short term and not recommended for long term. Very common names I'm sure you heard of are Ambien, Lunesta, Rosarum, Remeron. So these are some things, some medications that you can discuss with your PCP. Now, what to do if you've had a bad night of sleep? Do nothing. Do not wake up late or sleep in. Do not take naps that day. Do not, if you can, do not drink any extra caffeine to make up for the lost energy and try to get you through the day. Do not sleep any earlier than your normal time in order to try to compensate. Try to go to sleep at your normal time as you would. You have to remember, sleep isn't wasted time. It's invested time. Every great day starts the night before. If you want to change your life, start by changing how you sleep. It is the most powerful, yet most underprescribed therapy we have. Free, natural, and available every night. Thank you, and I'll see you again. Assalamu alaikum.